But who should Munguia fight next? Let me pull up the poll for you guys, Chris. I don't think you've seen the results of this poll, but for you, your opinion, who should he fight next?
In
And
my
you guys could tell
opinion,
us too in the
he's
comments
gonna fight.
section.
If he's considering somebody like Canelo, he's gonna have to fight somebody just like this fight, somebody that Canelo has fought, who's giving him many rounds. So the name that comes to mind is a guy like Caleb Plant. I think that's a perfect fight for Munguia. Caleb Plant has experience. Still in his prime, very fresh fighter, uh, very skilled boxer. That's a doable fight in my opinion for Munguia, and that one will tell us, and it will tell him exactly where he's at levels wise. So I think that's the fight that makes sense. He's a name fighter now. It's good money. That fight can sell out in Vegas. So again, it's a great fight. The Mexican fans will buy into it. So it makes sense. It makes sense for Caleb Plant to be next.
Okay, so on our poll, I should have probably added Benavidez. I didn't think that fight is even possible, but Benavidez came out and said some words. You guys got Munguia's reaction on camera, live, in the post-fight press conference. He basically said, "Hey, I'm not gonna say anything." Munguia's pretty respectful. He just didn't even really reply to Benavidez, but uh, the gentleman sitting to his left, I think he's also his promoter, no co-promoter, manager,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. He said, "Hey, look," he said in Spanish. That's why Benavidez doesn't get a lot of these fights because es grosero. He just talks a lot of shit. Like he doesn't ask for a fight respectfully. He talks shit. So that's pretty much what they said. But the poll here, the three options were Canelo, Berlanga, and Charlo. If you guys see it there on your screens, Canelo 26%, Berlanga 53%, and Charlo 21%. Chris, what I'm getting out of this is most people, we got a lot of knowledgeable people audience on our YouTube channel. Let's see how many people voted. 805 votes. 53%, that's a lot of people. 400 people, 400 plus said he should fight Berlanga. And what that tells me is maybe people don't trust him. People don't think he's ready yet for those big names. That's what I get from this poll because Canelo, usually in any poll, people are just going to click his name just based off popularity. But it seems like
Yeah.
they're saying, hey, Munguia's not ready yet.
Yeah. I think everybody out there knows he's not ready for a guy like Canelo. Even though like if they offer you that fight, that's a lot of money. So that's a lot of money to pass up because you never know if that fight will come back. You never know how prideful or the ego kicks in for some of these guys. So I mean, if that fight comes calling, take it. But I don't see him winning that fight at least right now. That Berlanga one makes a little bit more sense. Obviously Mexico versus Puerto Rico. A guy like Berlanga, he was very hyped in the beginning. We've seen that chinks in the armor. We've seen moments where we think that he's not going to be the monster that everybody portrayed. That one's a little bit closer. I favor Munguia in that fight, just based on experience and based on Berlanga just not being what many pundits thought that he was going to be. So that one makes sense. I still favor the Caleb Plant. I think that one makes
Wow.
makes more sense to me, in my opinion. I want to see a Jaime Munguia be tested by someone that's already kind of climbed up the ladder. So that one makes sense to me. But I wouldn't be mad if he were to face a guy like Berlanga. That one's fireworks.
Okay, who do you favor, though, in that fight?
Munguia, Munguia Plant or Munguia Berlanga?
Munguia Plant. Let's start with that one.
I think I would favor Munguia 55-45, just because there's a lot of similarities between Munguia and Benavidez, where I think that volume and that power will break down Caleb Plant. But I
Wow.
but I wouldn't
Wow.
count on Caleb Plant. He can box, and I think he's learned a lot from those two fights with Benavidez and Canelo.
That might be considered a hot take there. I'm not going to lie. Huh.
How do you see that fight playing out? Yeah.
I don't know. All I'm gonna say is I don't know if I would be ready to jump out the window with that statement, Chris. I think Munguia still would have to prove a little bit to me. I mean, I don't think it's a bad take, but personally,
Okay.
ooh, if I had to put money on that one, I don't know. I don't know, man, because I think the styles are, or I think the style will favor Caleb Plant because look, he had some success against Benavidez. He was able to land some good punches. He just kind of gassed out once he felt the power. He retreated, didn't engage as much, held a lot. I think he would have a little more success with Munguia. I think Munguia might be slower on his feet, but Munguia is getting better. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Now, Big Bro also says, Berlanga. Uh, let's see. What am I looking at? I'll read it right now. But yeah, he says he probably Berlanga, which he probably KOs in a perfect world. Plant or Charlotte, aka Charlo. Plant outboxes him, I think. But that's his level. He's not a top 5 super middleweight, he says. El Pachuco says people saying that Benavidez washes Munguia based on what? On winning an easy match against Andrade. He's not buying it. And he's saying PBC produces the most and biggest hype job. So, yeah, man, look, it makes sense. Berlanga makes sense. He's fighting on the zone now, correct?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Obviously, the ones with Charlo maybe a little more difficult. Even Canelo has his deal with PBC, maybe a little bit more difficult. Benavidez as well. But yeah, look, and as I think they were going back and forth about Derevchenko. Yeah, he was past his prime. That was not the best. That was not the Derevchenko that, to me, someone said on the chat here that they thought he tied Golovkin. I thought he beat Golovkin, but I don't think we're talking about the same guy. The same guy who beat Daniel Jacobs as well. That wasn't. Did he lose to Jacobs? I gotta look that up. I thought he defeated Jacobs, but anyway, that was not the same Derevchenko. He was past his prime. Same with Ryder. Ryder got some big wins. He defeated Daniel Jacobs as well. But I don't think that was the same Ryder that took Callum Smith to 12 rounds. And even that fight, I thought he beat Callum. So we're not talking about the same guys. They're past his prime. But let me tell you that's great matchmaking. Because those are 2 names on the resume that look real good. Munguia's 43-0 now. 43. Right? And that resume is a little suspect, but those are 2 good names.
Yeah, no, again, I think right now it's all Munguia's and that's if there's a car and Canelo's driving and I don't know who's riding passenger, maybe Killer Plant, Benavidez and Munguia in the backseat, man, but they're knocking. And again, I think Amir Khan laid out some gems. You don't fight a Canelo right away. You wait 9 months. You wait for him to age a little bit, slow down a little bit. Just like Ryder has some wear and tear, you let Canelo take a little bit more wear and tear. But yeah, that's Munguia. I'm liking him. Again, I've been one of his biggest critics the last 5-6 years. I started off really liking him for having like a cojones to take on somebody like Triple G, and the years have continued, and he's been in some questionable fights where it's gone his way, where I thought it shouldn't have gone. But he's looking good, man. He's looking good with Freddie Roach, and yeah, man, I would love to one day see him get in there with Benavidez and Canelo when the time is right, which is not too far off.
Hey, Big Bro says Pacheco's still a little young, but I might favor him against Munguia.
What? I don't know about that.
I'm not mad at that take. I'm not mad at that take. Pacheco, he's good. He's good. He's good.
Someone who's really good and I think doesn't have a lot of experience is Morrell. I think that guy's dangerous. Obviously he hasn't been there with big names, but the dangerous dude. Yeah. I like Pacheco, man. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
Hey, our guy Jesus saying Munguia's not fighting all those guys, Benavidez, Morrell, Pacheco, Berlanga, and Billy, Beck the Bully, because Munguia has too many flaws, he says, and he gets badly hurt. That's what Jesus says. Hey, and Big Bro's right. Derevchenko lost a split decision to Daniel Jacobs. Yeah. So, look, man, Derevchenko, let me see his age real quick. He is 38 years old. 38 years old, Derevchenko. And Ryder is getting up there too. What is he, like 34, 35? So, look, great matchmaking for Munguia. To me, he looked good, but let's see if he's ready for the elite level. He's now at 168. He can't take those punches like that from an elite guy because he will get hurt. He showed a tremendous chin so far. He's taken some shots from Derenchenko, from Ryder, but we'll see. I think it might be a little too early for one of those guys at 68, but we'll see what Berlanga does in his next fight. He hasn't looked too impressive, so I think the Berlanga one makes sense. Puerto Rico, Mexico, and then maybe try to get that payday against Canelo, which is gonna sell. Hands down, it's gonna sell. I mean, a Mexican, all-out Mexican war. Oscar De La Hoya is already trying to sell it as that. Of course, he wants to get in on the action, get his percentage. But I think that fight might happen at some point with Canelo.